Desire is divine, and it wants to go. It wants to flow. So when you go with the flow, you are actually contributing to the flow of life, which is why when you do allow your desires to manifest for you, when you allow yourself to receive them, means that you get out of the way with doubts and fears. You are contributing to the flow of God, to the flow of the universe, to the flow of life. And that right there, right, you're always entitled to whatever you want. But when you allow the flow is why it will come to you. So I want to really address, I've had a couple of different clients this week, newer clients, and they're feeling frustrated because they've been trying to manifest their thing, their person, whatever it is that they want, and they're just, sometimes they feel like giving up, like because they hear their friends or family or other YouTube channels say that you shouldn't want certain things, and that if it's meant for you, it will come, and that you need to move on, that it's not healthy, that it's almost obsessive, and all of these things. I want to address that in this video. I wasn't planning on doing this video right now because I know maybe you guys can't tell, but I haven't even done my hair today or done anything because I was reading this morning and all of this just like came pouring on me, pun intended. It's so funny that I say that. But all of this came pouring down on me and I just couldn't contain myself to wait till later to do this video. So I'm doing it now. Okay, so welcome. My name is Rose and welcome to The Rosey Life, where we help you free your mind and follow your heart or follow your flow. And if you're interested in working one-on-one with me, go to RoseyLife.com. All the information is down below, or you can join the Rosey Life course and community, and where I show up every week and answer your questions live. And I stay as long as you guys have questions, and we dive deeper into different topics that I just go in deeper to these YouTube videos sometimes, and sometimes it's about the lessons that are in the course. So every week, like I said, it's a little bit different what I bring out, just like what I'm doing now. So let's get to it because I am just so excited about this video. And I don't know what the heck I was reading. It doesn't even matter. But somehow, some way, all of this just came pouring on me, literally. And the funny thing is I was something that I was reading. I don't even know what I was reading now, but something I was reading was all that desire is it's divine, meaning when you want something, when you want someone, doesn't matter what it is, if it's tiny, an ice cream or a Lamborghini or a yacht or whatever, it doesn't matter, or if it's a person or health or your body or joy or happiness or whatever, all of it. None of those things that I said are better or holier or more spiritual or less materialistic. None of them are better than or worse or more spiritual or more probable. No. All of those, anything you desire is divine. The only person casting judgment on if something is materialistic or small or big or spiritual or doable is you. You are the only one casting judgment on whether or not it is possible or if you can have it or not, because you are divine. You are created in the image of God. And remember, so anything that you desire, it comes from your divine self. It's downloaded to us to want things. And because of that, right, what we are vessels. And I was describing this to one of my clients last night. We are vessels for the divine to express, to continue flow. So when you hear the term go with the flow, it's not just an Instagram post. It's not just story mode or TikTok. Okay. go with the flow. We're going to really get into that today and go with the flow, because so when you are this vessel, this physical body, it's a vessel created to assist with the flow. So that is what you were born to do, is assist with the flow. Okay. And that is why you're entitled to anything you want. You're just a vessel to help continue the flow. And that makes you entitled. You have inherited everything. The kingdom of God is yours. It's within you, and it is ready to flow when you take the limits, the blocks, the beliefs, the assumptions, when you let those go and you allow the flow. So we're going to get into this because there's so many things, this came at me at so many different perspectives all at once, and I have goosebumps right now, you guys. I have chills. It's in a happy way. Okay, so go with the flow, right? Well, what's flow? Let's get that first. Flow is God, the universe, or energy, because I know that there's some people that say, well, I want to see it from a scientific approach. I'm like, fine, let's do it. Let's do it. Spiritual, whatever. I believe this is God. In the Rosey Life, we talk about God. Okay, so God, universe, energy, that's the flow that we speak of. Go with God, go with universe, go with the energy, right? Go with it. Instead, don't resist it. Don't fight it. So how do we resist it? How do we fight it? With creating limits, that you have limiting beliefs. I know I used to do that. I used to talk about it on older videos, and I've been pinging those things out because that's not true. You don't have to change your limiting beliefs. You don't have to create new beliefs. You don't have to reprogram your subconscious mind with with new beliefs, with unlimited beliefs or whatever. You don't have to flip your thoughts. You don't have to do any of that. You don't have to heal any past traumas or wounds. A lot of you have been commenting on that you were on healing journeys, and that you were told that you have to heal from past traumas, and that you have to fix yourself somehow, that you have to reunite with, I don't know, with something karmic, old past, all of these stories, right? It's like, it's a rabbit hole of limits, blocks, healing journeys, of either healing journeys, manifesting journeys, spiritual journeys, awakening journeys, like all of these journeys. It's like, where the hell are all these people going? And all these journeys that people are on, is like, where are they going? And two, how do they know they're going to get there? Do they ever get there? Do you see? You just want to drop all of this stuff. All of this is all stories. They're thoughts. They're limitations. They're just things that you have been taught, you have been fed, and that you keep repeating. But now that you're becoming aware and you're raising your level of awareness of who you are, now you're just like, wait a minute, these are just stories. And what are stories? They're thoughts, beliefs, assumptions. And now that you become aware of these, you drop them. You literally just drop them. There's no process. There's no, I'm working on it. No, you just drop those babies and say, I'm good. I know who I am. I am the all. I am the one and only truth, the one and only power, the one and only mind. So the other thing that I wanted to bring in, to go into a little deeper with this, the puns, you guys, are coming out pouring deeper, because I want to talk about water. And that is why I'm laughing about what I was saying pouring on me. And I'm saying deeper. It's like, let's do this, you guys. Okay, so water is one of the other analogies that came to me. It's like, okay, go with the flow. Well, let's talk about water. And metaphysically, in the Bible, what water represents, you guys, it represents a lot of things. If you look at what water means in the Bible, metaphysically, okay, water represents many, many things. It represents unexpressed possibilities in mind. So it represents so many desires, so many things that you can have, right? it's like what I made in another video. It's like, how far can you see? Instead of just looking at the dot, or just looking at that one thing or that one person or that one way that it's only gonna, or the job can only come from this person or that source or whatever it is, you're just staring at that one thing, and you're limiting yourself and saying, I can only have that, or that thing will bring me joy, or only that thing will bring me happiness, or only that thing will make it happen, or knowing the right people will make it happen. All of that, right? So water represents unexpressed possibilities. One of my clients last night, she's just like been, manifesting a car. And she said, I watched your video about how far can you see? And she says, I had not thought about this. It didn't even occur to me until after I watched that video. She says, I actually have something that I can sell. And I can just go off and go buy my new car if I want to right now. Do you see? We think that we're conditioning and no, it has to drop from the sky, and nope, I didn't pay a dime for it, and I didn't lift a finger. It's like you're blocking yourself, because when you open up the vessel, when you open up the flow, that money that you spent, right? It can come flowing back to you 100 times more. Do you see this? So the waters in Genesis 1, 6, and 7, which Genesis is the first book of the Old Testament, and that's the beginning of creation in the first chapter. So the waters, that's what it refers to, but it also refers to negativity. So in the Bible, water has many meanings, depends on the context in which it's used. But water can also mean negativity. It can mean cleansing, it can mean life, and it can mean energy as well. And then I started thinking, okay, so let's talk about water just scientifically for all my little nerds out here, right? That we love talking about science or quantum physics or atoms, right? So, and I'm one of those nerds, you guys. I'm not throwing shade here, because I like my nerdy people, because I like it too. Okay, so water, then I started getting curious about water, and I'm like, how long can water sit before it goes bad? So then I start looking at stagnant water, right? Stagnant water, if it sits for more than 24 hours, it begins the process of collecting bacteria. It produces parasites. And even water, like tap water, you can only bottle it and keep it for up to 6 months before it starts turning bad. So when you try to contain water, it goes bad. It starts creating bacteria and parasites and toxins and things that you don't want to drink. So even when there's still streams of water and those kind of things, you don't want to drink it. So why I love this so much, because going with the flow, like water, you cannot stop water. You cannot stop water. Water wants to flow. Water wants to go. And if you've ever had a flooded basement, I had a house in several years ago, and I remember the basement flooded. And when that basement flooded, you cannot stop the water. The water becomes the boss, because it just goes. And the only thing that we could do is go down there with buckets and empty out the basement from the water. And then we had to call someone to come and fix the basement, this floor, so that they can seal it to prevent the water from coming in. So water just is water, and it does its thing. You can try to contain it in a plastic bottle. You can build a dam to prevent it from going any further. You can use water like Niagara Falls and create energy with it. You can direct water. You can throw water through a pipe, through different pipelines of different sizes, and depending on those sizes is what comes out. You can do all kinds of things with water, do you see? But water, its only job is to flow, to go. And it just needs to, it doesn't even need anything. It just is. And we get to use water, and we get to direct water. We get to contain the water. But here's the thing, again, stagnant water, if you don't allow water to move and flow, it starts to develop parasites and bacteria and weird stuff in it. And then you got to go buy medication for it, and you got to treat the water. Do you see? You got to preserve the water. You got to do all this work because you're trying to hold on. So what is water representing here? Why am I with the water? The water represents your desire. The water is your power, right? The power that is flowing through you. You are allowing your desires to flow. And when you limit it with, like, you try to contain it, meaning you put it in a bottle and you put a little cap on it, or you stick it in a bowl, or you stick it in a, you can do that. You can try to hold on to your desire, but before long, it's going to start rotting, meaning you're going to start feeling like you're going to start feeling anxious and angry and sad and frustrated because you keep holding on to the desire instead of saying, yes, I understand. I love my desire, and my desires are true, and that's why they're here for me to express them. And so I am allowing myself to have my desires and to participate in the flow with God, in the flow with life. Do you see? I am life. I am part of that flow. Your physical body is part of the flow too. Your desires are part of the flow. Everything is part of the flow. Everything is life. So when we contain water, it will start to smell like a sewer even. It'll start stinking, right? So if you hold on to it, it will start festering because you're not meant to hold on to it. The difference is if you direct it, if you add a pipe, if you build a little channel, right? Now you're using this water to provide energy to light up your house. Do you see? Now that is you using a process or technique, or you just declaring. You don't even have to use a process or technique. You just declaring all those pipes and channels and things that you're utilizing the water for. That is your desires. You are using the water, using your power to manifest, right? To have things. You're using the power of the water or the power of you to have things expressed in your life. You're utilizing it. You don't own the water. You don't own the power rather. You are it. It is you. So you're using what you are to create things. You can't stop it, but you're trying to hold on to it, and that's when it feels uncomfortable. So the other thing too is, like, remember, all things are possible with God. That is in Matthew 19:26. All things are possible. And I want to say that again too, because to a couple clients this week, they're just like, well, it just seems impossible. Or my friends are telling me just to drop it and move on. Or it just feels like it's just too many things, Rose, too many things, right? It just seems overwhelming. And I said, and they're like, maybe it's just not supposed to. Maybe we're not supposed to want these things. And I'm like, all things are possible. And I said this in many, many videos already. There is no index in the back of scriptures of the Bible or of any ancient teachings, I'll add that says you can have anything you want except for this. You can have anything you want except for that. There's no little index in the back that gives you exceptions. Water doesn't sit around. God, the flow, energy does not, think about this really for a second. Energy, God, water, it doesn't have an index book telling you what you can and cannot have, be, or do. It just wants to go. It doesn't care. It doesn't judge you. It's not saying that's not a good idea. That's not right. That's not okay. No. It doesn't care. It wants to go. It wants to play. It wants to go fast. Wherever you tell it to go, it's like, yeah, let's go. Let's do it. It's the flow. Do you see? So when you hear yourself or others saying, oh, you can't have that. That's not right. Or you got to heal yourself, or you got to do something, or you have a block. No, none of that is true. The energy is not saying you have to heal yourself. The flow, the water, do you think it's asking permission to come into your house? Do you think water asks permission to come into my basement and flood it? Do you think water asks permission when it rains? Do you think water's asking you permission when you open the tap? No, it goes. You have to build a faucet to make it stop because it just wants to go. And that is the power that you have within you. It wants to go. So it's not saying, oh, well, you have to affirm this 10,000 times a day. Or first you have to have a different self-image, otherwise you can't have it. It doesn't care. It wants to go, 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 and go. Do you see? So you want to drop all these stories and remind yourself that you are participating in the flow of life. You are participating with God in expressing life. That is what we're here for, and that is why we can have anything we want with God. All things are possible. Then it brought me to the story of Jesus walking on the water. More water stories. So I'm telling you guys, the pouring in, I'm trying to kind of condense everything because I got a whole list of stuff that came to me and I'm like, I can't put it on this little tiny board. So, but the other story is a lot of you guys know about Jesus walking on water. Well, in the Bible, the boat isn't an actual boat, because you guys know, and I'm going to make more videos about this because a lot of people, a lot of my clients are asking me to make more videos about what the Bible really is. So, but one of the, in the boat, in metaphysical, in the Bible, metaphysically represents your consciousness. So it's not an actual boat, it just represents consciousness. Okay, and then the 12 disciples in the boat represents your 12 states of consciousness, meaning the 12 spiritual attributes of your mind. And then Jesus was not on the boat. They went off and went on the boat by themselves. And the water represents life, just meaning your 3D. Water just represents the 3D in this context. Remember, the water represents many things in the Bible depending on the context. So in the Bible with Jesus walking on the water story, so they're out to sea, they get out further, and then the winds start picking up. Remember, the water in this story represents 3D. The winds start picking up, and then the waves start picking up. And then the disciples, right, the 12 parts of you are freaking out. They're just like, oh shit, there's a storm, right? So then, but the first one to say something was Peter, and he called out for Jesus, right? And he went into awareness, and he knew Peter represents faith. So he went into his awareness. In faith, he saw Jesus walking on the water. Okay, so the 3D conditions are like going like a little crazy. And Peter's faith, so he has faith in who he is. And despite the conditions of 3D, he had faith and stepped off the boat and stepped onto the conditions because he had locked eyes with Jesus. But then he turned. How many of us do this? Comment down below if you do this, if you turn back like Lot's wife and you turn into a big old pillar of salt. Peter turned his head, and what did he see? He saw the conditions. He saw everything going backwards. He saw, well, everything's going backwards, and there's a whole shitstorm, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, this isn't right. And what happened? He started sinking. He started sinking, right? Well, what's the sinking? That sinking feeling that we get in our body, and we're afraid that we're not going to get what we want. And then we're just like, well, another client's just like, well, I've been feeling good for 3 days, and I've just been feeling amazing, and I've been feeling in my power, and I've just been really having light bulb moments. And she's like, but then all of a sudden, I notice that it's not here. And then I feel mad and angry and upset, and it just blah, blah, blah. And she spirals out. Well, that's exactly what Peter did. He looked off the boat, and he's like, oh no, he started sinking. And then Jesus didn't scold him. he did not scold him. He asked Peter, he's like, why are you sinking? He asked him, why are you sinking? Right? But Jesus made sure he got on the boat first, meaning he went back into awareness. He brought Peter back into the awareness, remembering who he is. And he asked Peter, why are you sinking? And then Peter's like, oh, because I'm looking at conditions. I took my eyes off of who I am. That is why you sink. That is why you feel those sinking feelings. That's why you feel anxious. And then you go on YouTube and you're all, I need another video. Well, this coach says they have 200,000 followers. And they said, if I do this, it's going to work. And if I do that, then if I write this for 10 minutes every single day, that it's going to work. Or if I stand on my head and I hold a candle in one hand and I put my foot up in the air and I make sure it's 11:11 and do you see? That's you looking out at conditions. You took your eyes off of the I am. You forgot who you were. Notice, this is powerful. Notice that Jesus was walking on the water. Not literally. You don't have to literally go out and walk on water. This is a metaphysical book, okay? Jesus, remember what water represents. It represents 3D conditions, whether they're smooth or whether they're shaky. And it looks like everything is, the shitstorm's happening, right? Or like you're not going to get what you want. Now, here comes Jesus out of the nowhere, right? And he's walking on the water. In other words, he's walking on conditions. Do you see? Jesus walks on conditions. He doesn't care. He's looking at conditions. It's like, conditions who? You can't have what you want. Who's that? Who's she? Who is he? Do you see? I'm sorry. What are you guys looking at? And meanwhile, right, Peter's looking at the waves and the storm and Jesus like on top of it. And that represents you in consciousness, that you stand on the water, meaning you stand on seeming conditions, fears, doubts, limitations. That's you. You stand on conditions. You stand on 3D. You're not in it. You're on it. You're in it, on it. It's all you. Do you see? And so if you are able to sink like Peter, that means you still have need to ask for help. That means you're just like you're looking for videos, you're looking for answers, you're trying to find the best technique to get your stuff. Instead, you're here to claim, not beg and plead. Remember what ask really means. It really means to claim. Instead, you want to claim who and what you are, whatever it is that you desire. You are the I am. You claim despite conditions. You walk on conditions by claiming I am despite them. You don't have to wrestle them and fight them. And Abraham Hicks, I remember her saying this a long time ago. I heard her say, I went to one of her conferences in LA a long time ago, and it was so much fun. And she says, you don't have to wrestle your fears to the ground. You don't have to kill them and fight them. And I just love that. But that you don't have to wrestle your fears. You don't have to fight with them. You don't have to wrestle your thoughts and your feelings. You are claiming who you are, because why? You're entitled to it. Do you see? So you are the one that walks on water, not real water, on conditions, on 3D. And then lastly, while I was getting ready to prep this video, another scripture comes up to me it's Psalms 23. Didn't have room to write Psalm 23 in here, but I love this even. He leads me beside still waters, right? It's a lot longer than that. Psalm 23, you can look it up if you want to. It's really famous psalm, but he leads me beside still water. Remember, what is still water? Stagnant water that's creating bacteria. Because why? Because you were holding on to it, and then you saw it rotting, and you think your dreams are fading and it's going further away from you. He leads me beside still water, right? So the answer always is to go within. Remember that you are part of the flow. You are physically, literally, metaphysically, everything, spiritually, emotionally, everything. You are part of the flow. You don't have to build, limitations. You don't have to hold on to your desire. No, you go in with the flow, with the desires. You put them on there like a little conveyor belt into the rivers, whatever analogy you want to have. And remember that those come to you, right? We give and we receive like a wave. It comes out and it pulls back in. When we breathe, we exhale. These are all symbols of the flow, right? And when you give money by paying your bills, by giving, right? All of those things, when we give money, we receive money. When we give hugs, we get hugs. When we love, we receive love. Do you see? Everything's about flow, going with the flow, receiving, giving, receiving, giving. It's all the same. Everything comes back to one, the purpose, the one God, one universe, one energy, one flow, and we are part of it, and we're entitled to anything and everything we desire. But you must remember who you are and claim it, not ask, claim it, and allow the flow. Allow yourself to be with the flow. All right, my loves, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I love you guys so much. Thank you for liking the channel. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, rather, and liking the videos. I'm just a little excited, right? And I will see you guys soon because you're all freaking amazing. Bye.